Hope you got to hear some good stories. Hope it didn't get anybody in trouble. All right. Good work. As we put our mind back on Nehemiah, for those folks who haven't been with us during our study so far, we're going to blow through it real quick, but at least you get an idea. Way back when, in Israel's history, you had a unified country. It usually is under three very important monarchs, kings as it were, King Saul, King David, King Solomon. After they passed off the scene, the nation broke into two, and it's not two even parts. There were 10 tribes to the north which adopted the name Israel, and one or two tribes to the south, which was the hill country, and we followed that mostly in New Testament because it was called Judah, and it contained Jerusalem, and there's also the tribe of which Jesus came out of, so that's why we kind of follow those two tribes to the south a little more closely. The way it looked like it in history was Israel had nothing but bad kings. They led the Israelis, the northern 10 tribes, into idolatry. It was just nasty. It just got bad to worse. Then you had the southern tribes that had half and half. There were good kings, and then there were not so great kings. But even the not so great kings didn't go near as far as they went into the north. The idea is it got so bad that two neighboring nations came down. One was Assyria, that defeated the northern tribes in about 722 BC or so. And then about 150 years later, the Babylonians come to town and defeat Judah, take them into captivity, and they are there for 70 years. The 70 years in captivity was very important to the Jews. Number one, they realized that God wasn't a localized God. He actually went with them. When the ancient world, that's a big deal. They thought every God was kind of a local God, and he took care of everybody in your locale, but he didn't go with you. They found out, no, God did go with us. Yahweh, one true God of Israel, actually went to Babylon with them and the exiles. And while there, they didn't have a temple, so they made a temple away from the temple, which was called the synagogue. And the synagogue is where they taught their children and that kind of thing. They got their culture together, and they learned to worship out of the synagogue environment rather than the temple environment. Now, you're going to have them in captivity for 70 years. The Medo-Persians gain power. They come to Babylon. They defeat Babylon. And immediately, Cyrus the Persian said, everybody who's captive here can go home if they want to. Many don't. A lot of the Jews, in fact, the vast majority of Jews, stayed because they had 70 years to set up shop. They were into government, banking, businesses, all that kind of stuff. They just stayed in Babylon. It was the biggest metro area in all the world at the time. They had stuff going. They didn't want to leave. And so they stayed, free people, but stayed. But some went back. Under a guy by the name of Zerubbabel. They're going to move out of Babylon, go up, take the old route, which was the Fertile Crescent, all the way up and then back over into Jerusalem. They're going to be there and start rebuilding their temple. They get that thing finished. In fact, it is a bigger version of what was Solomon's temple, but that had been torn down by the Babylonians. But it needed add-ons and that kind of thing to become what we know as we see the pictures and stuff in the New Testament, a big Herod's temple. It's a build-on to actually this temple that Zerubbabel put up. They have 80, 90 years right in this time. That's a long time. They put the temple up, they built nice houses, all that kind of stuff, but they still don't have a wall. The wall had been torn down. Well, it was so long that the people kind of got blasé about going to temple. They had synagogues going because they learned that in Babylon, and so it kind of kept things going. They didn't really go to temple that much. They had forgotten about God. It wasn't that they were against God, they just weren't really for God. And the idea was they needed a revival. So a second group went back under Ezra. Now that's about 80 years or so into them being back in the land. Start calculating in your head. You've got 70 years of captivity, everything's down. You've got about 80 years of Zerubbabel. Then you're going to Ezra for about 13 years. He leads a revival, turns them back to the first 5 books of the Old Testament for sure, you know, that kind of thing. The Pentateuch, as we call it, the law, the Torah, as the Jews would call it. They'd open up those scrolls and they'd read it and go, oh, we forgot, you know, could have had a VA. You know, that's, you know, we forgot. We're under the law. This will work. There again, they still don't have a wall. Word comes back all the way to a guy who is doing governmental type of work. We've shown this before. It's kind of fun. This is King Darius right here. This is going to be the guy that came after Cyrus. This is his son, Xerxes. If you're into Hollywood movies, the 300, that's the guy. Not the guy with the earring and the bald head and all that. That's not really what he looked like. It's what Hollywood said he looked like. It looks like this because they all had beards. If you're really in authority, you had big, long beard. Okay, so you know, our bearded man here in church and stuff, he'd be really important. Yeah. Okay. So you know that this is the king and he's reigning because he not only has the royal cup, but he has a scepter. This is his son coming because he doesn't have the scepter yet, but he's got the cup. You're going to have, these are Medes, these are Persians because of the different hats that they have. These are guys here. There's one eyeball right here. The guy who looks like sleepy, you know, happy, grumpy, you know, he's got the little, you know, we're ready to march down to, you know, all right. You notice he doesn't have a beard because he's a servant. That's Nehemiah. He's a cupbearer. And he does a cupbearing for 3 different emperors. Darius at the end of his reign, Xerxes because he doesn't last very long. Okay, that's a 300 would take. Okay, he doesn't last that long. And then his son is going to come next, which is Artaxerxes. This story starts 20 years into Artaxerxes, this guy right here. And so he's been around a long time eating the food that the king eats 10 or 15 minutes before he eats it, drinking all the wine that the king would drink 10 or 15 minutes before it, so that they see if you don't die, then it's not poison, I can drink it. He was the filter, so to speak, and they said, well, if you die off, you're the canary in the coal mine, you know, we're going to quit, walk out real quick, canary dies, we're all going to die if we don't get out of here. The idea is, he was the filter, but he was so close, 3 generations, so to speak, of emperors. He is a trusted advisor. He's right beside him. He's no dummy, smart man all the way around. Word comes all the way back. They put up a temple. They put up houses. They've had a big revival and all that kind of stuff. 90 years into being back, they still don't have a wall. That means everyone who lives around them is going, okay, the Jews are back, yay, hooray. Anytime we want to, we can go one end and through the other with these guys. We've got them. They have no defenses whatsoever. And so Nehemiah prays, starting in November, and he speaks in April. He prays that long and finally says, I can't hold it anymore. King asks, what's wrong with you? He says, I want to go back and build the wall. This is a place that I've never been. I'm grown and raised in captivity, but in my heart, Jerusalem is my home, the home of my fathers. And it's in ruins. I want to go back. And so he says, okay, you have a plan? He says, yes, I've been praying about it for weeks and months. He has a plan. And he goes back with an entourage and they start rebuilding the wall. Now this is the wall that people have been walking over for now 160 some years. 70 years of captivity. 80, 90 years under Zerubbabel. 13 years of Ezra. This is the same as if something was torn up prior to the American Civil War. And we've still been walking around it. 160 years of climbing over these rocks, making your paths around it. It's just comfortable to everybody. It's what everybody's known for generations. Grandchild after grandchild after grandchild, great-grandchild, great-grandchild have been walking around these rocks. He says, we're going to unearth them, we're going to put them back together. In fact, it's such an important dwelling, they still exist. It's not this. This was later. These rocks right here, that's Nehemiah's wall. It still exists even today. The archaeologists have it for us. Okay? So the Bible pans out in concrete right there in front. Now, if we looked at Judah during that time, we would say, oh, it looks wonderful and peaceable. It's not. They have competing factions all over the place, and especially around Jerusalem. You're going to have factions down here in the hill country. Hebron is kind of really hilly. Jerusalem is on the apex, and you're going to have a ridge that runs just like the Appalachian Trail. Runs right through here. Today, we're going to be talking about this little town over here, Ono. Okay? It's Oh No, too. Okay? It's Ono. And Ono is gorgeous. It is close enough to the coast that you can see the Mediterranean Sea, blue, it's beautiful, it's flat, it has streams going down it, what we would call wadis or dry streams, but it feeds water down through it. Palatial as can be, resort town, Ono was. Okay, you ready? Here it comes. We have seen Nehemiah in this study as really wonderful, really great. Brings back a memory from my childhood on Sonny Jurgensen. If you grew up where I did, you were either a Baltimore Colt fan at that time, they were there, or Cincinnati Bengals fans, or Pittsburgh Steelers, or Washington Redskins, one of the two. Okay? I had folks that knew folks up there, and I actually got a football from 1961. They're going, how old is that guy? 61 with the assigned 2TR on it, you know, it was just terrific. But I love Sonny Jurgensen. I got to see Sonny Jurgensen as a 12-year-old at the old D.C. Stadium before it was RFK, before they went to Landover, Maryland and all that. And got to see him play a benefit or a Shriners game with Johnny Unitas, of all things, from Baltimore Colts. And got to see him warm up. So I'm down to field level watching this guy throw. He's throwing to Charlie Taylor, good wide receiver. But he's throwing, it's the start of, before the game, he's just messing around. He's throwing 40-yard throws underhand on a frozen rope. He doesn't bend up, and it's just straight. He just throws. I love this guy because he looked like a beer barrel on two pins. He always came to camp about 40 pounds overweight. He's just my kind of guy, all the way around. He had an interesting story because he was in a season he wasn't doing real well. It was toward the latter part of his career. He'd been around a long time. And they came to him and said, aren't you worried people write nasty things about you? Don't you just want to quit? They're griping and whining about, don't you want to just quit? He goes, no, he said, I've been in this game a long time. Long enough to realize that an NFL quarterback, every week to week, you're either living in the penthouse or the outhouse. This week, Nehemiah's not in the penthouse. You ready? Here it goes. Now it happened when Sanballat, Tobiah, Geshem the Arab, and the rest of my enemies heard that I had rebuilt the wall. Now it's not finished. He says, there's no breaks in it. I've got it up to height. Last time we were talking about it was about halfway up, and they were whining and griping, but now it's gotten up to serious height. However, there's no gates in it. You can still go flooding through it if you need to, but the wall looks like a serious thing now. Okay? Now all the surrounding guys who have been controlling this for decades, over a century of decades, have been controlling this. Now they've got a vested interest. We don't want the wall there. Okay, to have the Jews here, it's okay, but now they're putting up a wall. This looks like real city building here. This looks like nation building here. What's going on? I love it. I love it when it says, they heard. Okay? They is a very powerful word. They can be anyone. They can be everyone. In your mind, anyone becomes everyone when they start talking. They can just discourage you. They can terrify you. They can run you out of town. They can run you out of business. They can do a whole bunch of things. Whether it is real or whether it is imagined, they can do a lot to you deep down. Take heart. Here it comes. They heard this. Ready? And Sanballat and Geshem sent to me and said, come, let us speak together and go to the villages of the plain of Ono. Remember, beautiful, it's palatial, it's great. Dude, you've been working so hard. Take a break. Come off that wall a minute. Come down here, just have a little talk with us. Okay? But watch this. There's a discernment that goes on. We don't know why he's saying it. I don't know if it's a look on the face, the tone, or whatever, but they're coming with these messages saying, come on down to the plain of Ono. And he says, but they thought to do harm to me. He was able to get that. When you pray every morning, say, Lord God, give me the discernment to see these really great things that I have to do and separate them out from the good things that I have to do so that I do great things with my life. So at the end, I have a tally up of great things, not just a whole bunch of little good things that are just put together. And help me have the discernment to tell the difference between not just those two, but those who are really out to get me. Help me at least be able to see it coming. Because a lot of times you don't. And it comes from just a blind side and kaboom, they hit you with it. Okay? Where did that come from? Okay? It's one of those kind of things when you're arguing with somebody, they bring up something that happened 3 years ago. Oh yeah, but did that? And you go, I thought that was forgiven a long time ago. Boy, you've been harboring that a long time, you know? Whoa. That's the idea. But they thought to do me harm. So that little pretty map that we had, no, there's nasty folks all around them. Sanballat's to the north, he's a Samaritan. Tobias to the east of him, and he's an Ammonite. You got Geshem, the Arab, down below. They're everywhere, and they want him to come over here. No, leave that wall and come out here. This is down about 3,000 feet or so. This is sea level and gorgeous. This is Mountain City all the way around. But he's got enemies all over the place. What does he say? Oh no. Here we go. And I sent the messengers to him and says, I'm doing a great work. Thank you very much. So I cannot come down off this work. We've almost got it done. We're on a roll. I'm not coming down from this. Why should I cease this work and leave it and go down to you? I love that. It's not a slam, sort of. The idea is, compared to this work, you're small potatoes down there. And I know something's wrong. You mean to do me harm. The idea is, we want you off that wall. Whatever it takes, we want you off the wall. That's just plain it. Ready? Here it comes. But they sent to me messages 4 times over. We'll wear him down. We'll go back. Nasty. It's like a kid. Daddy, I want this. Oh, no. Daddy, I want that. No. Daddy, I want... Finally, flash him up. The idea is, I know I can wear him down. I can get him down here. That's exactly 4 times over, and I answered them in the same manner. Get that, especially our teens. We got teens up in the back. Okay? Don't get worn down. Oh, come out and party with us. Yeah, we're going to have a ball. This guy saying, no, I really love you. No. Oh, but I really love you. Oh, this party's going to be so fun. You're going to miss out. No. They'll come back over. Stay with the broken record. If the answer is no, it's no. And no is an answer. Thank you very much. You don't have to be maybe. No is an answer. Just no. Sorry, but no. If you really like me, you'll still around. Okay? Or you still invite me to stuff and you still be my friends. If you're not, I don't want to go anyway. Because you are meaning me harm, because there is a group of people, I don't know why they do it. In fact, the Greeks actually had a word for it called epiika. Epiika means evil, and I'm not happy till I'm making someone else as evil as I am, if not worse. There was a whole Greek word for it. It's not I'm just doing evil, but I get really happy, joy, if I'm taking someone who's innocent and making them evil. That was the word. It was so prevalent that they had a word for it. Okay? here it comes. And I answered the same manner every time. Aha, we're going up ratchet. Here we go. Then Sanballat sent his servant for the 5th time, but now he has an open letter in his hand. Why don't you just shout it from a rooftop? An open letter. That means everybody's going to get to know it now. It's going to go out. Here it goes. Ready? Rumor and gossip. It is reported amongst the nations, and Geshem. Now wait a minute. Sanballat sent them the letter quoting Geshem the Arab. So he's not there to say yes or no. It's just a good talk. It's been reported by the nations that you and the Jews plan to rebel. Therefore, according to these rumors have it, that you are rebuilding a wall that you may be their king. Oh, and it's also proclaimed that the prophets are getting ready to concern Jerusalem, that there's a king in Judah. Now these matters will be reported to the king. We're going to tell on you. Now, so therefore come and consult us. Come down to Ono. Same story. Come off the wall. But now we're going to do it and everybody's going to know about it. I'm going to say a whole bunch of lies in front of everybody. But if we throw the lie around long enough and hard enough, it now becomes sort of true. So it's kind of out there in the community. I'm going to defame you best that I can. Now, see? Now come on down there. Now don't you wish on those other 4 times that you come? No, you didn't, but you didn't. So now it's all out there in the community. You ready? Thought you'd like that. Okay? Now I said to him saying, no such things are being done. Period. But you invent them in your heart. There was no truth to their statements at all, but you put them out there in the wide open community. No such things are being done, but you invent them in your heart. He went after them straight up. He didn't go around with a bunch of gossip and all that kind of stuff. He just got them straight up. Okay? I had an old preacher friend who used to go to camp with him a lot. He was my age now when I was about a 30-year-old. And he used to tell me, well, this is how I handle it. But he was a way more forceful guy than I was. He was just that big. He had a big church down in Hollywood, Florida. He was just a big name on it. Everybody would know the name in the past generation. Good guy. And he said, every time I got somebody saying something to me, why did you do that? He said, I grab their hand. And he could get away with it. I don't do that. Okay? I'm a little more iffy with that. He'd grab their hands and do different things. He says, well, let's just go talk to them about that. They'd jerk their hand back. No. He says, then, if you're going to talk to them straight up, don't be talking to me about it. Oh, here we go. Ready? Here it comes. For they're all trying to make me afraid. That's vision. It's not getting in the weeds of saying, oh, that's true, that's not true, all that kind of stuff. No. The whole idea is I want the vision from up on high, a godly vision of what this situation is happening here. They're not saying that to just hurt me, even though it's hurt me. They're wanting the wall stopped. That's what they're doing. And they're doing any methodology they can to stop the wall. Their hands will be weak. Their hands will be weakened if it will not be done. The idea is, now therefore, God, strengthen my hands. Notice where he goes. He doesn't call all his friends together. He doesn't jump on Facebook. Doesn't jump on Twitter. Doesn't jump on trying to get everybody together. No. He gets everybody together. No. He goes to God with this. Because God is the only one that can handle this kind of stuff. Amen. Once you spill stuff and flies out all over the neighborhood, only God can straighten that up. Because even if the person who flew it out all over the neighborhood takes it back, there's some of those little pellets that flew out there that you're never going to get back. Somebody who heard it now moves to a different place and starts spreading that against you. Only God can figure this one out now. And that's who he goes to. Therefore, O God, strengthen my hands. Ready? The plot gets even deeper. And afterwards, he's going to an informant's house. Okay? It's a son of son. The idea is he's an informant. It says a secret informer. And he says, come, let us go together to the house of God. Within the temple, we'll close the doors of the temple, for they're coming to kill you. Whoa! At night they will kill you. What they're wanting to do is defame him. Because only priests went in that temple. Nehemiah knew it. I don't qualify to be in that place. And to go in there and to shut the doors and stuff and look scared and afraid, that's not a place for him to be all the way around as a leader, to run and let everybody else be out there exposed and me be hidden in this place. It's the art of no. It says, should such a man as I flee? I love that. Big guy. And who is there such as I who would go in the temple to save his own life? I will not go in. No is an answer. Yes is an answer, maybe is an answer, but no is also a viable answer. But there's an art in it, in to be able to say no and to do it civilly and nicely so that you're not offending at the same time. You're just saying, in this instance, it's no. I'm not saying no to you as a person. I'm not saying no to you as an activity. I'm not saying no to you. It's just for me, it's no. Okay? Plain old, it's an art. Ready? How's the art come? Godly vision. For I perceived that God had not sent him at all. Now that takes some spiritual discernment. Because when a guy's coming and saying, you know, hey, I got this from the Lord, they're coming to kill you, let's go in here and hide out. Okay? No, he said, I perceived he wasn't from the Lord at all. He had pronounced his prophecy because Tobiah and Sanballat had hired him. Okay? Now let's follow the money. Here it comes. And so the reason was he was hired so that I should be afraid and act in a way in sin so that they might have a cause for an evil report and that they might reproach me. The whole idea is way back when. Stop the wall. We don't like the wall. So we've done everything we can. We sent letters, we've talked to you, sent messages to you. We sent an open letter to you. That didn't work. We were sending death threats. That didn't work as well. Here it comes. My God, remember Tobiah and Sanballat according to their works. Do not miss that. You have someone out to get you. Don't think it evil to go to God and say, I don't know what these people are about, but they're out after me. And sometimes you're not paranoid. Sometimes they really are out for you, and it's some loony reason, but they're out to get you. Don't be afraid to go to God and say their name. God, do whatever you can with them. I can't do it. You're the one who will make up for this. I put it in your hands, but I'm turning you loose. Do anything you like to it. Thank you very much. If I can put some gospel in and get the kingdom stuff, great. If someone else can do that, great. But God, I am in a fix here, and I don't deserve it. God, deal with them according to their works. Even a prophetess that is there, and the rest of the prophets that made me afraid. I have a job to do. Put this wall up. What we need to do is find in our lives what the wall is. What is so important. Ready? That's not how it ends. So the wall was finished. 25th day of Elul. Okay, that's a month. It kind of coincides between 2 months of ours. In 52 days. That went from absolutely flat to a wall around it. That's the old city of David. All those gates, all that wall put back together in 52 days. I challenge you to get a building permit in 52 days in most municipalities, let alone finish the project all the way around. 52 days. They put that bad boy up. 52 days. Where does that set with us today? Well, 4th of July is coming up. Just want to let you know a little bit about the country and such. Way back when brontosaurus ruled the earth, there was a guy who had written, at that time, a new book. Okay, it's an old guy, professor out of Chicago. You'll know the name, Saul Alinsky. If you know that name, he's a scary man all the way around. Most of you don't have any idea where he got his, acknowledgments and emphasis in his stuff. It's used today. In most community activists use his philosophies all the way around. Saul Alinsky wrote a book called Rules for Radicals. I remember studying that in college way back when. It's a pragmatic primer for realistic radicals. A few of them you'll know real good. Power is not only what you have, but what the enemy thinks you have. Okay? It's that kind of thing. Keep the pressure on. Once you get something going, pound it, pound it, pound it. Keep the pressure on all the way around. Ready? It says the threat is usually more terrifying than the thing itself. In other words, do the threat. Sound familiar with Sanballat, Tobiah, and all that? Sounds a whole lot familiar with everything even today. You know, the whole idea, you know, everything hits and goes. It says pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. That's what he was all about. That's not new. What I want you to get is where he acknowledges his stuff. I'll read you the acknowledgement from Rules for Radicals. It's in the back. It's his personal acknowledgement. This is who my editors was, and this is who influenced my work, and all that kind of stuff. You ready? This is a learned man, PhD. Lest we forget to at least give an over-the-shoulder acknowledgement to the very first radical. From all of our legends, mythology, and history, the very first radical known to man who rebelled against the establishment and did it so effectively that he won his own kingdom, Lucifer. That's in his acknowledgement. The one thing in his writing, though, he showed his underbelly. You ready? It's number 12. It's up here. The price of a successful attack is a constructive alternative. If you go nuts with something and you succeed in nailing it, there's something that comes behind that even in his own words gives you a constructive alternative. You ready? Nehemiah 6:16. And it happened when all the enemies heard of it. The walls up. Hey, hey, hey. And the nation saw it. They were very disheartened in their own eyes, for they perceived that this work was done by God. That is the word for the 4th of July. No matter what you think of politics, no matter what you think of the United States of America, one way or the other, and how it was founded and all that, the bottom line to this is this. Do your politics. Be a great citizen. When it's time to vote, go vote. Okay? Know what you're voting about. Vote sensibly and smart, Christian stuff, but go vote. I don't tell you how to vote. Go vote. Be a good citizen. What I am telling you on the 4th of July is beyond the vote is the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's the wall that needs to be built. Do not come off the wall to do a bunch of other stuff. In your daily life, realize you are there for a purpose. You are not cookie cutter molded out. You are unique. Your personality, your background, everything makes you perfect for the area that God has stuck you in right now. Now, He might move you, might do something else with it, yeah, but for right at this moment in time, you're perfect for where you are. Do your job, do your relationships, do everything you can to the utmost, and in the midst of doing all that, realize the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ, that He came, that He died for sinners, which we are all part of. That's exactly why we come, is to tell people you don't work for heaven. You don't work for salvation. God has provided that already. What you do is come and say, God, I'm a sinner. I need saved from my sins. Lord God, forgive me. I accept what you did on that rugged cross as payment for my sins. My faith and trust and eternity is in your hands. I put my whole life in your charge. And that gospel, good news, freedom, cleaned up from every sin. That's what we're about. No matter what you do for a living, no matter what your politics are, that's what America is about. Is the freedom to get the gospel out while we can. Happy 4th of July. Let's stand and pray.